play flexible around his jungle too.
Absolutely, and we saw Tarzan, absolutely run over Razork in that match. Got way ahead, and then Scout was dominating in mid lane. It became so much about that duo moving around, being aggressive, making things happen, not necessarily looking for anything crazy, but constantly advancing the state of the game, putting themselves in great spots. And I do think they have really drafted well to do a similar thing here against Cloud9. So we'll see if Cloud9 can really step it up. This is going to be a massive test for them. And if they can get this win, it is an upset, but it's possible. If they could get this win, they would be 2-0, and that would mean you are guaranteed 3 chances in best of 3s to advance, and that would really set themselves up well. So this is what Cloud9 really need to get done. The win against Mad was great, but this is the bar that they're going to set for themselves.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we get into this one, our second game of day 2 of Swiss. Day 2 at that. Remember to connect your League of Legends account to get the Prime Gaming emote, the exclusive experimentation emote. I called it extermination yesterday, but if you play Heimerdinger, it's exactly the same thing. Get it, spam it, use it as we welcome you back. And look, on the note of C9, I will say it'd be a very C9 thing to do to create an upset here, to have a really good chance of getting into that top 8. Sitting on BO3s for a while and giving themselves the best chance would be amazing for the history of this organization. Who else but C9 to do it?
It would be huge if they're able to get it done. And we can see that deep ward thrown down there by Zika on top side. So wants to be able to cover and track where Blaber is going to be pathing. He knows that there's likely to be pressure up towards top side, especially because it is going to be a leash start on bot. So, Zika is going to have to play around those level 3 timings, those level 4 timings that could potentially come up towards top side. And we'll see what Fudge can get done. He missed his Q, so now Zika's just going to step forward and take this quick trade. As level 1 for Jax in this matchup, obviously, really strong for the Jax. And this is such a good Merc Treads game as well for LNG. There's so much CC over on the other side. I think we're going to see a lot of Merc Tread rushes. We have the cleanse on GALA. And I also already talked about how much peel and disengage they have, which is all going to serve them, I think, incredibly well.
I mean, it's going to be frustrating. It's along the narrative lines of LNG. They're a frustrating team to verse.
Yeah.
Because, again, they pincer you, they slow bleed, and they're also just great at saying no. This is when we're going to take the play. So a team composition like this fits into their wheelhouse, while at least in the early game, C9, their wheelhouse is pushing them out, getting the aggro down, hitting level 2 first here, so Hung and GALA have to pay respect.
Yep, GALA losing a bit of HP there. Want to step up. He was trying to get an experience range, not even to farm, but did get tagged by both the Q from Berserker and the W, as well as the Q from Zven, so lost a good 30-40% of his health. Didn't have to actually pop that potion yet, though, so not that big of a deal. And, it has been a spotted Sejuani over by this blue buff. That ward that Zika put down is going to spot him. Zika has the full shove, so he's just going to bounce the wave, and he's just going to take an early reset, so deny any possibility of that gank timer. I really do love it in these kind of matchups. If you can get that early push, as you sometimes can as this Jax, it just avoids this level 3 timing where you're going to be vulnerable.
Plus extra stats, Ruby Crystal picked up as well, so it's going to help with some of the trades that Fudge is going to try and burst. Yeah, again, for Zika as well, with that great timing, might actually sync up the Tarzan to pull some lane presence here on the Lee Sin. We're talking about this in draft. Tarzan's Lee Sin, really like no other. He's got many highlights in the LPL already since he joined in, and especially syncing up with Scout like he did yesterday. There's such huge damage potential, especially at that level 6.
Yeah. It can be an absolute bounce house, right? You get swept back by the Azir, kicked even further back by the Lee Sin. There are a lot of potential combos here that they can go for, but Blaber has stayed around on this top side, and Zika has walked back the lane. He did hold on to his TP. That's critical.
Nice scout of the week. Here's Zven with the roam. Hang on, Scout caught out. Ignite. They're hitting the strong point of LNG straight off the bat. That's a summoner down. Scout's going to have to base TP back in.
Really good roam from Zven. This is a guy who has gotten so much criticism for his engaged supports, but has grinded nonstop throughout his entire career, both as an AD and a support. He's always been a grinder, works hard nonstop, and really has been putting in that work to get up to par for the international level on these engaged supports, and makes a good early roam here, having an impact on that early matchup. That's step number 1.
Priority here for EMENES. I mean, look at the CS lead already building up. The Scout has had to teleport back to lane. Hitting the strong point of LNG. I love the strat so early on from Cloud9 when you said they had to be a bit brawly, a little bit bruisery here and get into the thick of the weeds. I think that's a perfect start for Cloud9 to open up this game.
Absolutely. And I think for a lot of people, if you're not someone who watches LCS all the time, I think people still have this kind of opinion, this thought of Blaber, that he's this hyper-aggressive guy and that he's kind of coin-flippy and he does this sort of style. But really, Blaber is much more farm-oriented. He's a guy that, to me, just exemplifies efficiency in the jungle more than anyone else in our league. He's all about, finding these gank timings, but prioritizing farm and not spending a lot of time to do it. And when you talk to pros that play against him, they always have this feeling that Blaber is there, even though he is the most heavy farming jungler in our league, which really speaks to the fact that when he is there, it's at the right time. It's when he really needs to be. And it kind of gets in people's head to the point where they don't feel that they can play the game they want to, because it feels like he's always going to be there if you go aggressive.
Which is so funny in this game, because I feel like you could say the same thing about Tarzan. Like, Tarzan prioritizes farm, he farms efficiently, but yeah, you always feel like he's there. A lot of the time he is, because he loves hanging around Scout. The proximity between the two always high, but just hilarious to see as we pause to digress and chill out a little bit on the Cloud9 opening start. Now, I will also say Hung is still in lane for the time being. That's also a little bit rare, as people don't know.
What is happening?
On likes to sync up with Shun over on BLG all the time, abandons Elk. Hung's not as aggressive, but that dude is rarely in lane too.
He is just kind of a bit of a madman. This is a guy who likes to go for the really spicy plays, the really aggressive plays. He's not afraid to really put his life on the line to make a play happen for the team. And I think that's one of the things that really stands out about him to me, and that really makes him fun to watch. And LNG is just kind of so well-rounded, not even just through, player skill, but also through player play style, right? Scout is kind of really stable. You talk about the stability of Tarzan. Hong is kind of this guy that's kind of that spark plug that is going to make crazy things happen for them. And it always feels like so much of the action is around mid lane, is around top lane, and it's often GALA that's just kind of quietly farming up, may not be involved in the game, and then you realize, oh God, like GALA has 400 CS, and how do we win this team fight now, guys?
But it's good. I mean, in this matchup as well, I keep drawing parallels. And another one I'll draw is Berserker, right? I feel like Berserker, this reliable AD carry.
Yeah.
I can't remember the game as well, but is a Siffer game I remember, at least in playoffs or at least in recent memory. Berserker, this reliable AD carry, just farming up, gets to the point where he's fighting and he's huge. Hell, even yesterday as well, on the Zyra it was, he was the reliable AD carry for C9 that really took over Mad.
It really is. It's one of the things that he's very well known for. It's interesting because damage percent-wise, he really doesn't have like a huge percentage of the team's damage, because they have a lot of players that, do like to play that carry style, that do like to play aggressive, and often it is more that farming role that Berserker plays for. But in the LCS, he has this reputation. It was really funny. We had a lot of players come on and cast with us, and one of the games we had Huhi come on, obviously from Golden Guardians, and cast with us, and he was talking about, I was asking him, what is it that's difficult about playing against Cloud9's bot lane? What is it that makes them so frustrating to play against? And he said, well, the problem is, if you ever start a team fight around Berserker, he's going to get a random triple kill, and then you lose the game. And then not 30 seconds later, a team fight broke out, he gets a triple kill, and you're like, oh! So it is kind of that thing that he's known for, is really success in the team fights. Zven and Berserker are less known as a dominant lane.
Yeah. Just a quick update for everyone out there. We have had FPS drops on C9's side. Officials are investigating, excuse me. So while we get that sorted out, we are in a pause. But to run through again, we've been waiting for this one just simply because, not just because we're waiting for the 1-0s to start, but naturally because, LNG yesterday were looking pretty clean, bar one play. I think C9 versus Mad was one of the cleanest games we had yesterday. Mad had this inability to be proactive, but I think it was showing to C9, kind of running the map and running over them, that Mad didn't really have many options.
And, when people talk about, the team didn't do anything and they just lost, it's often not because they didn't try to do anything, but it's because everything they look for, their opponents are going to be able to answer, right? And it often feels like that when our teams play against the best LCK and LPL teams. It's like, well, why didn't they do anything?
Sure.
Well, everything you looked for, they were ready for, and they answered, right? So it's always, one part inactivity, one part, reactivity from the other team. And I think, Cloud9 deserves credit for that. And a lot of the other teams that looked really solid yesterday, LNG included, definitely deserve credit for that as well, for being able to answer. So we got the ready checks. Seems to be good in game now, and we will move forward. A pretty big CS lead opening up in bot lane, but the wave is pushing into GALA, so we'll see how much this he can pick up. Likely nearly all of it knowing GALA, as he is a CS monster.
But at least some of it, at the very least, you can highlight through those early tradings, hitting level 2 from Berserker and Zven. They were able to lock down a bit of an advantage in this lane. We also remember that through mid, if you are just checking back in with us, it's Scout lost both summoners. One to return back after the heavy trade, one for the flash that was burnt by Zven's early roam to only trade the ignite from him. So C9 with a small early advantage. Let's see if they can punish some of those summoners as we start getting towards the level 6s. And even the Tarzan start on Dragon Ball. Blaber has decided to do the core JJ for this game at least. This time he's on a ward.
Yeah, is spotted out, waiting for that top side scuttle. He's just been cycling his camps. He wants to push heavily towards 6 and play towards this top side. Fudge is 6, and Blaber is up here. Zika needs to play safe because he knows Blaber's in the area, and they're getting Dragon for free on bot side, so we'll see. Blaber spotted again.
But is that trade too big? With Dominus, maybe not the way pushing in, but it's thinned out. Zika still playing dangerously. Zven is also going to be spotted on this control ward, but Dragon, as early as you'd like on a leash in, taken by Tarzan.
Yeah, nicely done there. And Fudge now, because he took that bad trade, unfortunately Blaber had to stay around and actually cover him on the push-in.
Yep.
Because he did get chunked down so low. If he left, there's always the potential that he does get all-in. But LNG really winning out on these last couple of plays. They take the Dragon, they push in, they get a plate on bot side. A nice trade from Zika, plus the wards on Blaber dissuade any sort of action on top side. And we'll see, though, can Blaber now make something happen? There's a slight window before Scout has his flashback, where Blaber is now 6. But he would have to rush straight towards mid, and Scout is just based and got Merc Tread, so he's playing around that timing.
Yeah.
By the time he's in danger, the flash is going to be back, and he's going to be sitting pretty.
I mean, teleport almost up there as well, so any punish that comes through, Scout should be fine. They left this Azir pick open, and I'm going to be questioning throughout this game, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's a mistake or not. It was yesterday, the 11-0 and 7. You heard me say before. It was on the Jace matchup as well. It was a little bit different, but again, you know, it's one of Scout's best champions historically.
Yeah, it's so hard though, man, when you're playing against a player like Scout.
He's got 18 of them.
Yeah, almost anything he gets looks good. It's like, oh, he got that Azir, I don't know. Oh, he got a Cinder, oh, he got that Orianna, I'm not sure. You know, it's just everything you give them seems like a bad thing to give them.
Yeah, it's hard to win, honestly.
Yeah, turns out he's just good at the game.
At the very least, look, EMENES is something that has a bit more priority in lane. We're just still waiting to see how it gets punished up as LNG playing deep and nitty-gritty in this bottom lane. Hung and Tarzan already syncing up. It might still be in the bottom side, but starting to move together while GALA slowly pushes this way.
And you can see Blaber is heading out towards bot because he knows he needs to cover this crashing wave here. Will they look for an engage is the question, as Tarzan trying to pick up a lot of this. Blaber's heading there, but not going to be here in time for any sort of a fight to break out, but that's another play going over to GALA because Cloud9 can't step up to the wave, or they have Alistar and Lee Sin behind them, and it's probably a pretty easy kill to actually execute. So just slight advantages being eked out there by LNG. You know, was a little bit of an edge. They're going to go for Syndra.
Emperor's Divide, the glide, and see you later. The kickback with the Sonic Wave doesn't connect. It slows down the play, but Scout with his range again. Oh no, first blood to the man in the mid lane for LNG is a big plus.
Nicely done, and this is always the worry in this matchup. Azir versus Syndra. Syndra can have that proactivity in the early lane, but as soon as you get to 6, you can swoop in for that Azir ult. Even if you don't get the kill, if you get the flash, you can return and get that kill again. But this time, they get the kill with just the flash from Tarzan, and that's going to mean as soon as kick is back up for Tarzan, Scout could look for a flash ulti, and they could get an almost guaranteed kill there on MNS. So great job by LNG. Now going to be able to get a plate here in mid lane as well, and they're opening up a slight lead for the first time in this game.
Yeah, 10 CS, that kill as well for Scout. We'll see what it nets with the start of a Nash's Tooth there in his inventory, but this is how the game against Fnatic started. With Scout getting a lead, it doesn't stop at 1, it goes to 2, 3 very quickly.
Yeah.
And so C9 need to keep a cap on that lid.
And while LNG aren't the craziest team, one of the things that they do so well is punish mistakes, punish missing cooldowns from their opponents. And,
exactly.
You know, I think that's something they did incredibly well against Fnatic, as you're saying. And now, if I'm MNS, I am really sweating for this next couple minutes when you're playing with no flash against an Azir that has flash, has ulti. And Scout just sets it up really, really well. Tarzan coming in, no hesitation. He tries to get the scatter. The scatter not able to keep him safe. The Q misses from Tarzan, but honestly, it didn't matter. No one was going to get there in time. He was always going to die. And at the end of the day, the kill going over to Scout is just that much better.
They're the best mid-jungle duo of the LPL as once again, Tarzan into action onto Fudge. While spotting him out, dropping a ward as he makes his exit. Should be close to an item for Tarzan as well here. After his participation through the mid lane, Gore Drinker now picked up. And he's the first one of LNG to do so, as Blaber the same too. And it has just been a nice start for LNG, despite what we saw mid with the flash burned out from Scout before.
Yeah, I mean, Zika is just playing this lane out so well. They've known that there was going to be pressure up towards top side. You know, that is the problem with going with such an obvious draft like Cloud9 has.
Yep.
So they just constantly kept wards up towards that top side. You know, Zika put the level 1 ward over by the blue buff. Then they had, I believe, a ward from Tarzan that was placed over in Pixel that spotted him out. They have the defensive wards in Tribush that's going to spot him out. They just always kept eyes on it, and Zven getting kind of disrespectful here. Has to be a bit careful.
Flash available. Tarzan doesn't get the Sonic Wave this time either, as the quickness gets the movement speed for Zven to escape. Almost caught out, almost a kill for GALA, but at least negating that fact.
Yeah, so Zika's just been able to kind of wax on, wax off, stay alive. And
exactly.
He's chilling, right? Like, this is a matchup that you're going to be feeling better and better about. The Fudge looking to get aggressive. He has the Mythic completed. Doesn't want Zika to base, but not going to be able to stop him. He may earn himself a plate with that denial of the base right there, but Zika is deciding to stay around, and it's going to have to be Zven running out towards bot as, again, Berserker's getting zoned off. You know, he is still slightly up in CS, but he's going to be zoned off another wave as Zven was forced to use his ulti and retreat on mid lane.
Trying to turn into a dive. Dominus is there. 1 versus 2. Zika is going to pop the ulti. The Counter-Strike now run out. He's out of mana as well. Permafrost laid with the own ulti. Well done by C9, but the problem is the bottom side. As LNG fail the dive, they get turret plating out of it, but C9 getting topside is some relief.
Yeah, that is really good that they're able to execute on this kill because they're going to get the full tower. Yeah. That is a big deal to get that kill. Berserker barely survives on bot side. LNG has been pressuring heavily through bot. EMENES did get down there to cover, which is good, but it does mean he's going to be losing farm. Scout pushes in, takes another plate. So more and more plates have been going the way of LNG, but it's a slight lead for Cloud9. And they're looking really very even with LNG through 13 minutes. So credit to them. This is a very, very competitive game.
I mean, again, C9, we talked about coming in. This is a historic organization that does so well under pressure. As we look at topside as this 1v2, they wait for Zika's cooldowns.
Yep, exactly. They force out the Counter-Strike with him going in, and then wait for that Permafrost passive to be stacked up. That means no way to miss the ulti from Sejuani. That's guaranteed, so they get the kill. Then here on bot side, EMENES on the roam. He is really kind of the hero of this one. You can see them going in for this dive, but the Kai'Sa ulti plus the double shielding there from Zven creates the space, and with EMENES arriving, LNG knew, okay, we got to back it up, or this could become a disaster really fast.
And with the health going on to LNG as well, means the turret dive, or at least the turret push, can't be traded, so it is first turret blood, as you well highlighted, Azale, that goes to C9, moves to almost a 1k gold lead, but taking care of the other part of the map state, which is objectives, LNG have moved us to an Infernal Soul. They're on their 3rd dragon coming up, if they can at least take it. So the objective game is being played down towards that bottom side.
Absolutely. And now it's going to be about, can you actually transition this advantage that you've created for Fudge around the map? Can you use that to take more objectives? Can you use that to go and contest this next dragon and stop that? Because that is going to be the issue here now for Cloud9. You know, they have Fudge in a position where he could potentially succeed. But again, he's going to have to deal with so much disengage. And I think that is one of the most difficult parts about this whole composition for Cloud9 is that, you know, when you have these kind of binary champions that just have to go in and try to get in on these carries, where you have Rocket Jump, you have the Shreem and Shuffle, you have the ability to actually create so much space with the Buster Shot and all these different cooldowns, it's going to be tough for Fudge to get in there. So everyone from Cloud9 is going to have to be on the same point. You can't kind of go in, you know, one at a time. It's got to be everyone going in at once. Rakan goes in, Sejuani ult lands, Fudge is landing, you know, the ult and the scatter from EMENES, everything kind of has to hit at the same time, or it's going to be so easy for LNG to peel and cut it out.
At least thanks to that Mastercard lane economy snapshot, we can see that Fudge is going to have the gold to play with, 1,500 over Zika, by the way, if you missed that. Gold Drinker with the Kindle Gem already picked up, but I like the analysis of the composition. You talked a lot about it in draft as well. We've mentioned comfort quite a lot for LNG, but again, the fact that everyone's got to disengage, everyone's got a jump button at least as well. Let's see another one in action. Flush away from Zven, great timing. He's good on the fingers today, but will mean they lose out on the mid turret with that burnt down.
Yeah, and honestly, this is just such a win for LNG. Cloud9 go to take Herald. Herald gives you the opportunity to get a tower, right? And while you're getting that, they take the mid tower, they take the bot tower, they get the flash off Zven. It's just such a bigger win for LNG. You can really see they're very adept at how they play the map. I think they're going to feel so confident as this game gets later and later and later. With the Azir interest on it, you know, 2 of the safest hyper carries in the game.
Oh, yeah.
So it is going to be difficult for Cloud9, and LNG, again, are just refusing to fight where Cloud9 is strong, right? I think Cloud9 was really hoping, hey, come and fight us at the Herald. You know, hey, come over here, we're going to scrap. But they're not willing to do it. They're just going to say, no, you can take that. We're going to go 4 mid. We'll send 1 bot. We'll take global objectives. We'll take gold off the map, and we'll wait till we're ready.
They're just chilling. I mean, again, the wave clear massive, and GALA just doing what GALA does every single game, which is farm up, push waves out, back off, get another item, and he's close to getting his second as we do a bit of a check in there as well. Just a quick note, GALA up 10 CS, but almost up 2 items because of all the plating he got in the bottom side. Another quiet achieving game where Berserker wasn't able to get that same luxury on the enemy turret himself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that Berserker and Zven honestly played really well in the 2v2, but LNG played heavily around bot. Tarzan did a great job getting down there. We constantly saw Tarzan and Hong, just threatening the dive, right? Wrapping around behind, and always it felt like we pan down, you're seeing Berserker walk back, walk away from the turret, give up plates, give up farm. That was the position that he was in, and LNG just orchestrated that so well. They're saying, sure, you can put pressure on top side, but you're not going to get a lot of kills on Zika, and we're just going to guarantee farm, we're going to guarantee advantages on our carries, we're going to play around mid, we're going to play around bot, stack objectives, and then when we're ready to fight, you're going to be forced to come 5v5 because you're going to have to worry about the soul.
And that's why for LNG, I use that classic word macro. Great macro team, best one in the LPL to a degree. Start comparing them and JDG as Hung looks for an engage, because Dragon's coming up in 40 seconds, and again, there's the setup. We talk more about it. Look at the vision line as well. Scouts in again. He tries to get Zven scared.
Yeah, I think that was maybe one of those things where he's hoping that he's going to panic ult and try to use some sort of cooldown and retreat and say, oh god, I'm about to get swept in, but he obviously wants to hold on to it. He wants to have that ultimate for this fight. C9 are ready though. Here's the TPs.
Scout ulties out of a panic. He flashes away as well. He's over. This is good for C9 because here comes Chocolate Fudge right into the mix as Zika starts spinning, but he flashes as well. LNG are panicking, and C9 have them on the rope.
That was such a fast double TP from Fudge and EMENES. They get 3 flashes from the top side. They're going to give it up completely. They realize, nope, that went way too bad. We will get smoked if we actually fight this. But again, let's play the map. I'm going to TP the top side. You double TP down a dragon. Guess what? I'm going to take your tier 1 for free. You get the dragon, but it is going to be C9 taking that, dropping Herald on bot side. So they want to try to see if they can push for 2, try to get a second charge, but Tarzan lying in wait. Hong is moving out of the map here, so there's 4 from LNG.
Oh, Scout of the Week was used, Sonic Wave connects, but Herald going to be stopped in its path. Tarzan can't follow up any further. The Scout will stay top to open up this turret as well, but C9, again, with great reaction. I think it's something we talked about backstage. It was definitely in terms of Blaber, but I think C9's reactions in the Mad game yesterday, even today here against LNG, have been quite adept, been quite significant.
I think that's 2 days in a row for both these teams. They've been really good at responding to what their opponents are doing, shutting down what their opponents are trying to enforce on the map here. LNG, again, they're not overcommitting to that fight. They realize, nope, this started bad. We're out of here. We'll take a tower. You want to fight as a Herald? Nope, we'll take your mid lane tier 1, right? They're always making sure that they're in the right spot. This was great, though, from C9. LNG were trying to move down to actually collapse on Berserker, but Blaber was in the area, Zven was in the area, they were covering that play, and the instant double DP from EMENES and Fudge meant that LNG just did not have the angle to fight. There was no way they could actually push through that corridor onto Berserker. They would have got destroyed.
Yeah.
So they immediately bail out. Yes, they have to spend some summoners, but we've seen that hasn't been a problem for them before because they're so patient at just waiting and playing safely until their flash comes back up, and I think we're going to see Scout do the exact same thing. I mean, look at him on top side. He's not even walking up to the wave. He's being very careful, very respectful. He says, that wave's coming to me. I'll wait back here. I'll wait over by Krugs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk up and die.
No, again, not overstepping. It's in Scout's nature. I think from yesterday we saw it. Not a single death on the man as well. Hard to kill, hard to capitalize on. Another matchup that's being focused down there is, of course, GALA versus Berserker, who are just farming away to. Kraken picked up. We ain't getting Berserker with the Umbral build, and that's something we haven't seen as much so far in Swiss. We haven't seen the Umbral build as much popping up, being the Navori quick blades coming through, being a lot more about the on-hit.
Absolutely, and I think if there is going to be a lot of kind of more frontline, people that you can't necessarily just one-shot at burst down, I do tend to think that the on-hit can work really, really well. So, going in towards that Navori, very standard stuff. Kaisa obviously has been cycling through a lot of different builds, and you do see the full kind of early lethality build for that super early spike. This is much more of a scaling style of build. There's a lot of different directions you can go, but I tend to think that they are going to need that consistent damage here from Berserker, and that's why he's going for this. We'll give you the update as soon as we know what the pause is. Earlier we had that pause. Obviously it was some FPS issues that you were reporting hysterics of 4C9 on stage. So if it is that again, we will let you know as soon as we do find out. But some big item completions are coming through. Fudge completed that Shojin, so his second item has come through. We saw a second item just come in as well for Blaber. He's got the Knight's Vow now, and over on the other side, Scout has his Nashers on top of that Leandry, so this is not that kind of vegan build that people like to call it, where they're going Banshees and they're going Crown and they're going defensive. Scout is max DPS here, so if they create space for him, he's going to be eating good.
Yeah, definitely tonight. I mean, again, already that second item is significant, right? Scout in a good spot. It was that first blood that set him up for success. But I guess the difference between yesterday against Fnatic versus today is Cloud9 have not really slipped up anymore. It was a double TP down bottom side that was really quick to the trigger, but they haven't really misstepped. They made that mistake, and okay, EMENES started playing a little bit safer towards mid, not giving more opportunities over to Scout.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Cloud9 has been, playing, I think, a pretty conservative game. Both teams clearly filling each other out. You know, from all the rumors, they have been very competitive scrims. So, these two teams obviously showing some respect towards each other. And I think Cloud9, more so feeling a little bit of pressure to try to get things done in the earlier stages. LNG more comfortable to sit back, and they're only going to fight on their own terms. So we'll see when that is. Generally when you think about hyper carries, when you think about late game, to me, that kind of arrives at 3 items, right?
Yep.
And so it may be that LNG will just continue playing around that. If Cloud9 makes any mistakes, they'll obviously look to capitalize, but they don't need to really force anything. And Cloud9 has also bought themselves some time by taking this 3rd Dragon because they're not really feeling pressured for a Soul coming up. So it's honestly a very, very even game. Again, if I could choose which team to be playing at this point in the game, I would rather have LNG's champions.
Of course.
But I don't think it's cut and dry, 100 to 0 type.
Outscale, no.
No, I don't think you just win for free or anything like that. It's going to be down to the execution, and Cloud9 are going to have their opportunities.
And I think with, again, engage options of their own right, we've already seen Blaber's been really on point in trying to match Tarzan here in this game, or at least setting up Fudge, I should say, which is more specific. Zven, that gank mid, was really proactive against a team like LNG that does, as you were saying, want to sit back a bit. I think, again, so many options for C9 is great to talk about here. And ultimately, Fudge, just quickly on this note, not in a bad spot either. Matching CS against Zika is a big deal. 2 items as well. There's also something we should note, that this Renekton is going to be quite powerful running into the next fight.
So tournament officials are now reporting Zven was having some issues with his peripherals, some keyboard issues. So they're trying to get that all solved out. We could see on screen one of the referees was talking to Zven. I've seen the players typing ready checks in chat, so I presume that we will get the official ready checks. We will be probably going back into it pretty quickly, but both teams have called ready, and we are seeing that it's unpausing now as I'm in game, so we'll be right back to it here.
It's okay, guys. You needed that breather anyway. Go to the bathroom and come back promptly. It's only game 2. This is what I love about the new format. Having the 8-game day in Swiss with the new format going full out is fantastic. Welcome back into the game. LNG, okay. There you go. Now you have more time. Go and sort yourself out. You know what? I will say, in this downtime, the food here is OP. Like, I'm talking like a Felios on release OP.
Oh, God.
It's great. And the crazy thing about Korea is just you walk around in a street and there's about 20 restaurants. You don't know where you are. You don't know where you've stumbled upon. But all of a sudden, man, the
throw
options.
A rock, hit some good food.
That's right. Every single time. I mean, there's a mall near us that's got about 160 restaurants or something in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I did just get an update.
Please.
Zven, again, having the continued issues even after the unpause and pause.
Yep.
So they are going to be changing out his keyboard. So they're going to have to get a new peripheral for him.
Okay.
The issues are persisting, unfortunately. Obviously, not the ideal situation for anyone. It can be frustrating for both teams, have to sit in that pause. But obviously very important that these things are working properly. You can't be playing a game. Your whole year is leading up to this point, and it is just so important that you are comfortable that everything is working properly.
I mean, more to the point, right? We talked about the potential upset today that could lead to the 2-0 for either of these teams. I mean, obviously with LNG coming in favorites, it's an LPL team. People might not rate North America as highly. I mean, I know they don't. Sometimes is it wrong?
No.
No. No.
I was like, where's he going with this? This is very generous
I was trying to be
you.
optimistic, and I'm like, I don't want to be a phony. I don't want to be a fraud, okay?
I mean, how many international titles has LPL won? Yeah, a few.
A few.
But how many LCS titles has the LPL won?
None.
There you go.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And also,
Cloud9 has won a lot.
I'll always remember MSI, Team Liquid, semifinals versus IG.
Yeah,
that was heartbreaking for me, but man.
And then that was the end of the tournament.
And then everyone.
Nothing else happened after that.
Well, that's right. I mean, they won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They won. They beat the world champions IG, and then Team Liquid rode off into the sunset, and everyone clapped for them.
That's right. It was amazing.
That's what happened at the end of that tournament.
I just remember everyone on the desk, I think at that time, was like, oh, I think Team Liquid have a real chance. And then, was it G2? No.
No, I can't recall.
Yeah, okay, great.
Not sure what you're referring to.
Oh, I love it.
Similarly to Cloud9, making it to World Semis, and then again, for some inexplicable reason, we just didn't play out the rest of the event.
Yep.
Got to semis, big success. Everyone cheered, and that was the end of it.
I remember what was crazy is like IG at that tournament was disappointing for me, because I was casting LPL. I'm like, man, this team could be the best ever. Won Worlds, lost to Team Liquid, and then they went to Worlds in 2019, and the FPX semifinal versus IG was nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can't remember who was on broadcast at the time, but
I wasn't casting that one, I don't think.
But
I've gotten to cast some really good LPL series over the years.
I know you have. I know. I've always been I've always commented on how much of the LPL story you know, how much you convey.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I didn't plan on this being, an Azale pop-up session of a highlight, but it just happened. Vedius didn't get any of this yesterday.
I did plan on it. I bribed him.
Oh, did you? All right. But yeah, 2019 Worlds was sick. I mean, that's again why people are excited for, the Shy coming back on a different roster naturally, because last time he was at Worlds and the World Championship year as well, he was absolutely gnarly.
Yeah. The Shy is just such a fun player to watch. I mean, I've been such a big fan of his since way back. Before the World Championship, I was still watching every single one of this guy's games because I was playing a lot of top lane at the time. And to me, he just exemplifies that kind of insane top laner, that hyper-aggressive top laner that's so fun to watch. Whether it's going well, whether it's going poorly, the Shy is going to make the game interesting.
Always.
And that's one of those things that is really fun about him. You can see they're clearly still working through things on stage here with Zven. Hopefully will not be that much longer. But again, I mean, it's been a fun start to Worlds. I think for the Western fans, you always hope for those upsets because it makes the tournament unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is something that everyone can enjoy. You don't want it to be cut and dry where you're just like, well, this team beats that team, and then this team beats that team, and then it ends, right? You have to play out the games. There's always upsets every single year at Worlds, and that's what makes groups and now Swiss, to me, the most fun part of the entire event.
I mean, again, it's a highlight, but ladies and gentlemen, while we get through this pause, we're going to throw it back to the analyst desk to run us through what we know so far.
Yeah. Hopefully it's what you don't know.
I also love upsets.
I also too.
We can have one right now, maybe.
We should. That would be fun, I guess, for you. You're right. Azale's always so positive-minded. You gotta be if you're from the LCS, I guess. Similarly for LEC,
I was gonna say not always.
As of recent, are we happy with this game state, Kobe? For
Yeah,
Cloud9?
I think actually pretty happy. I was a little bit worried during the draft. Anytime you see them giving Scout Azir again, and the Jax going over to Zika, those are two really, really powerful champions for their solo laners. And we literally had a segment at the beginning of the day. Scout was the best performing player yesterday on Azir as well. So I was definitely a bit nervous, a bit scared. But they have played out the mid game pretty well to set themselves up with some good footing for a possible win.
I think that C9's game plan is very topside focused this game, where they try to get the Renekton ahead, try to play through the Renekton. Renekton Sejuani is a tried and true combo that we're very familiar, and that does mean that they play the weak side bot. The concern that you always have is that when you're hard committing in the draft to basically trade sides of the map, is that you then make sure you don't overcommit on one side, you're not making mistakes. And credit to C9, they're doing that very well. They were able to get the early Herald, they invest it towards top, they get a kill onto Zika. The game is very even. And while the Renekton does have a lot of gold, my question then comes to Kobe. Do you trust Fudge to be able to be a carry?
No, I don't trust Renekton. It's not about Fudge. I don't.
You had us in the first half.
Yeah.
And this is actually something 95% of Cloud9 fans will relate to. They don't trust Renekton.
They don't trust it.
Want to drop kick Renekton out of most of our drafts, usually, especially if it's against Jax towards the later stages. But as he said, a lot of attention has gone that way. The Herald went up there. Blaber went up there. They got the turret dive in exchange for bottom side. And they actually didn't lose anybody on the cross-map play, even though they did let Zika get, or they did let Scout, I believe, push in an extra minion wave in mid lane and possibly get a turret plate there. So, there are some things, but honestly, it feels good to be on pretty close footing even.
Yeah. I would say it's the best case scenario. Okay, being 10,000 gold ahead, that would be nice too. But my question, of course, is the lens of an Azir that is scaling and a Tristana that is scaling. Yesterday, just the Azir that we saw, you said it already, giving over that Azir would not be my preference. It still happened, and now you have this game state where I think LNG are feeling quite in their element.
Well, I mean, LNG are a slow team. Historics always talks about that, like, when you cast them, you kind of get a bit of a weird, I don't know what the word is, but it's so different to what he's used to casting because they are just a slower team. So I don't think they're out of comfort. And as you rightly said, they are comfortably scaling. They're a heavy investment towards bot side. Range is the big thing that they have going at their kind of with their composition is built around. Azir and Tristana is always a very terrifying front-to-back composition to have to play through. And this is where players like Fudge are going to need to be able to find flanks. Zven is going to have to play around vision to be able to get onto that back line. That dive that this composition does have a lot of is going to be very difficult to execute, but if they find it, then it's going to work out well.
I would say, by the way, for now, too, this stage in the game, Zven has been playing quite well on the Rakan. The pincer from him and Blaber to burn 3 flashes off of Zika, Tarzan, and Scout, and then get the Dragon for themselves. We haven't seen yet the ramifications of all those flashes being blown, but that is a possible opening for them. Obviously, I'm very high on Hopium right now.
Copium.
No, I mean, I wouldn't even...
It's Hopium right now.
No,
Maybe it'll be Copium later.
No, is it called Cobium?
I
thought my
like
own brand,
yeah. I think it's fair to say that C9's macro has been fantastic. Like, I was one of those people that looking against the Mad game, I'm like, okay, you look better because Mad is heavily underperforming.
Oh, sorry. It's like Cap's dad.
Oh.
Fan favorite.
Yeah, fan favorite, of course. I felt like C9 looks better because Mad is underperforming. But now in a matchup against LNG, they're clearly proving that, no, that macro was not just a fluke. It wasn't just Mad underperforming. The macro's at a high level right now, and maybe you get uncomfortable when I start to sing the praises of C9.
Let's all do it.
Right now.
C9's amazing. Wow. What could go wrong?
You're trying to do the interview meta where all of the mid laners and Eastern players are talking up our...
Yeah, EMENES looks like a genius to me.
If you would like some Cobium, I've got a special brand here. Talking about the scrims, LNG is actually one of the teams that not just Cloud9, but a couple of NA teams had winning ratios against. So I know that they actually at least came in with some good confidence.
The fake data coming out, I like it.
You like some scrim data?
Okay, the tournament officials are assessing how this pause affects the game state currently.
Okay.
Oh, I don't
know. Not going to read
that
into
sounds
it.
Very ominous.
We're not going to read into it. We're just going to say what we're told.
But the current TLDR and the current situation is both teams are very even. A lot of the gold is sitting on Fudge, whereas for LNG, a lot of it is sitting on... Funnily enough, Scout, I thought that GALA... I mean, I don't remember the exact gold advantage, but I do know that Scout was quite far ahead just because they keep sending him off to catch those towers and those waves in a side lane. But ultimately, these fights is where it gets very scary for C9. So objective setup, the way that they actually approach these fights is going to be super important for them moving into the mid to late game.
Yes, and I wanted to bring something up in terms of LNG, you know. We say it often. I'm just going to say it again because I think it's great. LPL, most gruesome region to qualify for Worlds out of. The playoffs, the gauntlet is, I think, is like the biggest eliminator in all of esports and LPL, and specifically LNG, they lost game 5 of the finals. The next morning, in the same stadium, they had to qualify to Worlds. They did in the end because they're here to face EDG. And the key here is also, you know, in playing JDG and all those teams, you're team fighting all the time. You have to be on point. You have to take the 1% plays all the time. That is why I am getting a bit nervous. I don't want to be a glass half full kind of girly.
A lot of us came into this matchup nervous, so welcome.
Okay, good. Welcome. And also, I don't have a horse in this race, but, you know, I want to see a good game.
LNG are certainly favored here. I think one angle for Cloud9 is I'm hoping that we do get to see some big Kai'Sa plays from Berserker. Berserker is a huge star on Cloud9. He has basically the tournament favorite champion for AD carry right now in Kai'Sa. So many, you know, possible plays to be made here. And with Zven and Blaber currently playing quite well on the setup champions of Rakan and Sejuani, there's definitely a world, you know, where we make some picks, we make some plays. There are no flashes on the top side of LNG.
You don't need to, like, I love the way that you're just like, Vedius, I'm really trying to convince you here, and I'm just like, I agree. I think that the game state right now is very, like, it could go either way, is the way I see it. Like, yeah, the longer the game goes, there's a world where LNG can definitely make it harder, but we'll have to see.
Yes, I do have an update for you. The tournament officials have determined that the instance of the pause took place at a game-critical moment, and they're performing a chrono break to a dead ball state. So we have a little bit of time.
I wonder where that is. Yeah.
Same. I don't know if we can get the moment before the pause, perhaps, or I don't know if production wants to do that, but it's nice.
I wonder
to
if it
see.
was during the top and bottom trade plays, where they had opposite side jungle dives for the top side. Cloud9, they had Berserker live. Meanwhile, they got the kill on top side, Rift Herald on top side. That's where they got the first tower and got that extra gold. That is also, though, where Scout got his extra minion wave in mid lane.
I honestly don't remember the point at which it paused. I remember the game state, and overall I was like pretty happy for both sides, but I have no idea.
We do have an interview in the bank yesterday. Lord talked to Tarzan, so maybe we can throw that at, because that'll be good context for today as well.
And we're back here in the interview station with Tarzan after LNG won their first game here in the World Swiss stage. 안녕하세요. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been since 2021, I think, that we didn't see you. How much of a different player are you now?
우선은 승리 정말 축하드립니다. 2021 월즈에서 뵙고 이렇게 또 오랜만에 월즈 무대에서 뵙는 것 같은데요. 그 당시와 비교해봤을 때 얼마나 다른 선수가 되었나요?
일단은 21년도보다 조금 더 성장한 것 같고 멘탈적으로나 조금 게임 보는 입장이나 그래서 조금 더 성장하지 않았나 싶습니다.
I want to say I grew a lot in terms of the game knowledge and also in terms of the mentality. So I've become a lot stronger in both aspects. So I want to say I've become a lot more mature.
That's amazing to hear, and you're the only remaining member of this iteration of LNG back then. You guys picked up GALA also for summer. Tell me more about LNG for the people who haven't been following the LPL this year. What can we expect from you guys at Worlds?
그리고 그 당시 로스터에서 지금 현재 로스터에 남아있는 유일한 선수가 또 타전 선수이고 이번 이제 서머 시즌에 갈라 선수도 영입이 됐는데요. LPL을 챙겨보시지 않는 그런 분들을 위해서 LNG로부터 어떤 모습 기대해봐도 좋을지 한번 말씀 부탁드립니다.
일단은 간략하게 소개를 해드리면은 일단 탑은 주카 일단은 굉장히 든든한 선수이고요. 정글 뭐 타자 말할 거 없고 미드 원딜도 말할 거 없이 든든한 딜러진이고 항 서포터도 굉장히 조금 힘이 넘치는 친구예요.
So I want to give you guys a brief introduction of my team. Top, solid, jungle, no need to mention. Mid 80 carry, of course solid, and support. I want to say he's a strong player.
I love the confidence. What I love the most with having you at Worlds here, Tarzan, is the Griffin reunion that we're going to have once again with so many players of this 2019 roster being here at Worlds. Did you guys keep a good relationship with them? And which one in particular are you looking to face?
그리고 또 하나 말씀드려야 될 게 바로 이제 이번 월즈를 통해서 이루어지는 그 19년도 그리핀 선수들의 또 재결합 많은 분들이 기대하고 있는데 지금도 좋은 친분 유지하면서 잘 지내고 계신지 그리고 가장 기대되는 그런 매치업이 있다면 어디인가요?
일단은 전에 그리핀 선수들 만나면은 경기에서 만나면 되게 재미있을 것 같고 최대한 높은 데서 만났으면 좋겠고 그리고 어제 시간이 잠깐 돼가지고 이제 리엔즈 선수랑 초비 선수랑 같이 밥 한번 먹었어요.
Yeah, it would be really fun to have a matchup up against my former teammates from Griffin, and I wish it happens later in the stage. And yesterday I had some free time, so I had dinner with Chovy and Lehans.
Oh, the reunion. Indeed, thank you so much, Tarzan. 축하드립니다. 인터뷰 감사합니다. Jisun, thank you as well. And you guys, back to you.
Thank you, Laura from the past. Amazing. Dinner, eh? At least they didn't go swimming. Because in Europe, that leads to things.
That's code, yeah.
That's code. Maybe this is code. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't think so. We're hoping to get back into the game pretty quickly. Of course, I think we should be close, even though I had a music video behind us. Now you get out of that once we get back into the game. Don't worry about it. I think we've exhausted kind of our...
Well, I'm hoping that we get an actual look at where the game is going back to. They said they're working on
getting it now.
Getting the exact point. So that's really interesting. Okay, so this is what led to it. It seems very dead ball right now. So I'm assuming we'll just go back to whatever this is. Blaber just cleared a ward.
Whatever this is.
Great.
So, I mean, Baron's alive.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Okay. Come on, give us some insight. Cool.
The ball is dead. That's what okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, so we'll just go back to before they jump on Blaber, I guess.
Yeah. Blaber's pretty dead, right?
I
mean, it's only Lee Sin and Alistar there. Both solo laners are in their side lanes.
I'm kidding. We're not gonna pontificate about that.
But you know
the ball is looking pretty dead to me.
Yeah,
that looks like
ball.
That says Wani does not go down fast.
I've seen many alive balls in my time, and I can tell you right now that is not one of them.
I think it would be in our best interest if we move on from this terminology.
Where's medic? I mean, do we need a doctor over here? Can we pronounce this one alive or dead?
I don't know. I'm hoping we get back
I just realized what we've been saying.
Yeah, I know. But I'll let you guys go for a while. Any case, as I said, I think we've exhausted kind of our predictions because we know what the champions are. We know how they scale and what they do. All we can do is believe in C9, and maybe we can parlay this into a bigger, do we believe generally in C9? Are they emerging as kind of your NA frontrunner?
Emerging over the last
2 days.
8 years, I think, of international play of North America, so for sure.
Yeah.
For Cloud9, we've come to become reliant on this team a lot of times. And I will say that, once again, since they did actually have a lot of good scrim ratios versus LPL teams, they actually came in with a lot of confidence. And confidence, you're going to need that in these mid and late game team fight scenarios, which is where the game is won. Especially versus LNG.
I have skepticism around North America's ability to make good fights happen.
Just in general.
I remember yesterday you said in general.
Yeah, I did.
And you were like, no, it's actually only one or two teams.
He's trying to paint our whole region.
I watched the semifinals, I watched the finals, and I was disappointed in the fact that they,
and
although
that's
their fights,
it. We have to go to the casters.
Oh, I'm just
Vedius does
disappointed.
not like the LCS. Go ahead.
Why does this keep happening?
Oh, God, poor Vedius. Sorry, buddy. Welcome back to the cast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, League officials have Chrono Break back to 2035.
Oh, they're on the Baron.
And we are back in. Thank you for your patience. C9 come back from the Chrono Break and hit the Baron.
Zika has no TP, and they saw him bot. They're
starting
engaged.
with action. Scout with a 3-man, and he's dead.
Oh!
C9 come back, and all of a sudden, game goes bang.
Oh! Hong is knocked in the pit.
He's flashing out. Well, the Baron held on for now. LNG down a member, down their crucial member, and stuck in a 4v5 with Zika coming towards mid.
Oh, this is crazy. As Zika is moving up, they're going to try to go for it, but Tarzan, they ought to get out. They got to
flashes in onto LNG. The kick away, disengaged, but Baron still going down. LNG will lose out, and Cloud9 have the objective for North America.
Cloud9 decisive out of the pause there. Woo! That was madness. We had to go back a couple seconds because from that dead ball state, there was a potential of a fight breaking out, but Cloud9 say, yeah, we're going to make a fight break out. You want to go to dead ball? We're going to make it happen. They engage over the wall onto Scout. The CC chain was great. Berserker in with the killer instinct. And then we're back here. Great blast going there from Blaber. Knocks Hong into the pit, and he has to flash straight out. So it's only up to Tarzan. And Fudge says, no way are we going to 50-50 this with it being such an important game. Tarzan wraps around, but they get the ward over the wall. They flash in on him. He kicks to disengage, but Zven is there. They're keeping him out. He just can't get in. That was beautifully done by Cloud9. Start to finish, the engage on Scout, the peel to deny Tarzan. That was perfect, and that explodes the game all of a sudden from what had felt like dead even, back and forth the whole time. We get action, and we get a clear advantage, and now Cloud9 potentially can move towards this next dragon as well. They can try to clear some turrets off the map. They can try to grab this second dragon. Let's see what they can get done.
After waiting so long, I feel like I'm going to need one of these Red Bull Baron power play. 1,500 for C9 to kick us off. And ladies and gentlemen, what a power move coming back into the game to experience that. Now, with an almost 2K gold lead, Zell is eluding 30 seconds till the dragon. Let's take stock of the game that we've come back into all of a sudden with 2 item AD carries, 2 item mid laners crucially. Scout with the TP to come in as they try and pick off Tarzan. He sonic waves in, looking for the kickback. Only finds Blaber, but not going too far until Scout boops him further. Flush away from Blaber as LNG try to converge around the turret. Blaber down the summoner, but a couple of big ultis now used for LNG before Drake.
Yeah, this is problematic though for Blaber because the dragon is spawning and he can't actually base. He has no time to do so. So we'll see. Can Cloud9 still get in there? He does have that Baron recall. Will they try to actually buy time? He's going to try to take the red and use that to heal up. They want to get that, but GALA is just starting the dragon. They're just trying to force right now.
Out of the weak, out of range. They're trying to get them into the pit. Blaber not going to be eluded in. LNG will move to Soul Point. While C9 with their Baron are going to open up mid.
Yeah, C9, really getting punished pretty heavily there. They wanted to go for this little chip play onto Tarzan, but the amount of displacement in this team is massive. What is Hong doing?
He's just jumping in.
He just killed himself.
Bursted out. Hung, okay, brother. how badly did he want to die as C9 get one off the back end?
The sixth member of Cloud9 goes in and gives him a freebie, apparently. That was bizarre. Maybe there was some sort of a miscommunication between him and the rest of the team, but that looked weird.
As they trying to dive, Scout flashes away. Hang on, C9 are unleashed. GALA free hitting for the time being, but not too much damage. Just the flashing from Tarzan to kick. Zika gets a three-man! C9 running up the turret in control, but LNG can never be discounted. From a deficit, they fire again and again!
They take everyone down. Berserker gets out, but it's in the 4v5. They find the angle coming from both sides. Tarzan from one side with a beautiful kick. The alley-oop for Zika, and he gets so much here. Devastating for Cloud9. They're pushing in. They're trying to look for these aggressive plays. Again, I'm just not sure what that was. He gives over the freebie, but it ends up not even mattering. You can see Fudge on the bottom of the screen was pushing them away. Blaber and Zven trying to look for this dive, but then watch Tarzan and Zika coming from both sides. Flash kick. The scatter was there in time, but it just didn't matter as the flash in from Zika. Three-man counter-strike. That's the Jax you know and love from the LPL.
The rookie top laner, underestimated, but so deserving of praise. His Jax needs to be banned away, and for many reasons, they've left it open as Berserker, also looking at part of the replay, got absolutely blasted with the shutdown going over to GALA.
That's brutal, and he loses both summoners off that as well. And now that means Cloud9, you know, they got the Baron. It amounted to nothing at all. They didn't get the Dragon with the Baron. They're now up against Soul, and Berserker just died and lost both summoners, so he won't have those summoners for this pivotal fight, for what could potentially be the fight that decides the game. You know, in a matter of minutes, this game has just gone back and forth so incredibly quickly. It went into the favor of Cloud9. They get the Baron, you think, okay, from here, you take the second Dragon, you clear some towers off the map, you create a big advantage, you stave off Soul, you're in a great spot. But all of a sudden, LNG get Dragon. They win the fight around mid. Berserker dies and loses sums, and now you're thinking, Cloud9, you're probably in a terrible spot for this next fight.
Scout threatening again, but that Baron power play by the end, it had to have been towards the negative mark.
It's got to be negative, for sure. And the fact that it's now 3 Dragons for LNG, the fact that Blaber, you know, him and Zven were kind of looking for this pokey play onto Tarzan, you know, previous to that, and he ended up having to flash out. He gets pushed out, so they couldn't challenge the Dragon. They lose the team fight in that 5v4. It's just beautiful flank from Tarzan and Zika at the same time, perfectly executed on that. You can never underestimate this team. LNG is just so good in these decisive moments. And now you're looking at the item completions. It's 3 items in for GALA. He's got the BT. That Zonia's is now coming for Scout. EMENES is so far from his 3rd item. Berserker is closing in on his. But you're going to have to take this soul fight, or the game could be over. And at the same time, you know, Baron's going to be up before that. There's possibilities of trying to trade Baron for that Dragon. You know, Cloud9, they have to fight it. LNG doesn't care. They could give up a Dragon if they can get a Baron from it or get something else from it, where Cloud9 has no options. They basically are forced to. So they may actually try to preempt this by just starting up a Baron again. I think they want to get the TP off Zika. I think there's potential for them to just start this on spawn and try to force the Jax to respond.
And again, for LNG, as they walk towards it, trying to get that TP, but might lose the base in the process. Zika is unrelenting. 2-item Jax as well, by the way. So turret damage is going to be massive. Minions going to shred. And LNG have just grasped back the river somehow with 4 members.
Yep. Fudge had the base to answer, so Cloud9 were confident to actually take that 4v4. You know, GALA's pushing up mid. They get the tier 2 on bot. Cloud9 starting to really feel the heat here. The Baron is now live. LNG reclaims the vision around it. They are in their comfort zone now. They don't need to do anything except just wait for this Infernal, make sure that they have the setup for that Infernal. Where Cloud9, there's a lot of pressure on them now. They know that Zven is in this area, and if he oversteps, could be in danger.
Wonder if they can do anything with the information that hung backed away. Looks like the timing's just not there, but Ward over the wall to spot them out as Sonic Wave connects, but again, just trying to threaten out C9.
So many big purchases have now come through. Zonia's done for Zika. Zonia's done for Scout. You can see now the 3rd item done for Blaber as well. He grabs the Abyssal. We have a 3rd item in for Fudge there with the Black Cleaver. So everyone's seeming to finish up those 3rd items. We'll see. Berserker has no time to go back, so he just bought a stopwatch, and so did EMENES. Here comes the TP. They're going to look for the deep flank.
It's a big one as well. Could be game-changing from Fudge. The factor there, but he needs to get in because GALA's jumping in on the sidelines. Berserker running through. The king of 80 carries in North America. Might take one down in China. Fudge helps out. Big shutdown. LNG lose a man, but trade one. And now Fudge targeted and Tarzan to finish the kill. Zika flashes. and the rookie from the LPL should not be given Jax ever again. Scout on the Azir follows that same train of thought. At C9 it looked so good until it wasn't.
Cloud9 try to go for the aggressive play here, but a little bit disjointed. Fudge comes on this super long flanking angle. They do get in the backline and take down GALA, but it took them way too long to kill GALA here. Fudge is coming, so they look for the engage over onto Blaber, but look at this coming over on the other side. They apply the plasma into the backline, get Berserker and Zven, but GALA just lives so long. It takes so much time to actually kill him off, and look at EMENES, he's just not a part of the fight. Yep. EMENES was so far away. There's so much movement with both the Kaisa and the Rakan. They can follow up on this. They can get in there on the back line, but Fudge was never really a part of the fight. EMENES was never really a part of the fight, and that's the problem here. LNG just played it out so well. They kite back towards that top side. Now they have gotten the soul, and I think that's going to be all she wrote for this one. Cloud9 are still going to fight on, but within the matter of a couple minutes, it went from looking like Cloud9 had a real shot in this one to LNG just out-executing in back-to-back team fights, showcasing their prowess in these pivotal moments, now claiming the soul, now having a 5,000 lead, and they have all the cards.
You can't make a mistake against LNG. It's been said many times throughout the LPL year, but LNG specifically in those finals against JDG capitalized well. Here against Cloud9, the same again. The same against Fnatic yesterday in their early game. It's what makes LNG so dangerous. The Scout has to flash away, at least Blaber forcing out with the Glacial Prison, but the rest of LNG using the Baron buff and this hard push that's going to come from GALA to open up the base. Zika jumping in. I mean, Fudge has experience, but Zika has the LPL.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a lot of these champions now on Cloud9 have been well and truly outscaled. We've got level 18 Jax, working towards his 4th item. We got Scout working towards his death cap. He's level 17. EMENES is 2 levels down, doesn't even have his 3rd item. He's so far behind. Berserker as well, way behind the curve here. Cloud9 just don't really have the damage, not even to mention the soul.
They're trying so hard to kill Zika. He just thinking about jumping back in. Makes it so hard again as he ends up doing exactly that.
Yeah, they just can't hurt him. I mean, you basically need Berserker there to kill anyone at this point.
And then what do you lose because of it?
Exactly, you lose everything.
Well, Infernal Soul to boot as well. He jumps up at Berserker. That might be the last mistake you make here in this game. LNG moments away from being the first team to 2-0 here in the Swiss stage. To be on match point, as it were, to go to the best of 3s. Zika has teleport. He bases away, trying to engage onto LNG. As Zven had a great early game, but no longer onto GALA. Berserker at least trying his heart out as he buys some time. Tarzan with no Sonic Wave, but Scout still finds him on the back end. While C9 to pick apart the pieces, eventually get Zika. But what is the cost? What is the charge? LNG still here strong. As into the base, they're not stopping, they don't care. Ulti whiff, Scout dodges away. Blaber running for his life. It's a long haul here as Cloud9 look to keep them from thwarting their chances to move to safety. C9 getting bopped away though by Scout Azir, who gets 7 kills this time around. 18 kills in total in 2 days. Our MVP of the split continues to perform, and LNG move to match point.
LNG coming out on top, 2-0. They'll move into the best of 3s. As you said, they could be one of those first teams to advance from the Swiss stage. A really competitive back and forth game here. Cloud9 really looked good for a lot of it. Really did push LNG, taking that early Baron from there. Things were looking good, but I'm sure they really wish they could have everything after that back, because LNG in the 4v5 crushed them with the multi-prong attack when they try to siege the tier 2 mid. Then again, out-team fight them off of that long flank in from Fudge, where Fudge and EMENES couldn't get involved. LNG were more coordinated, more precise in the 5v5s, and that's really where this game was decided. But it was definitely a close one. Cloud9 fighting down to the bitter end.
Yeah.